welcome back to my annual tradition of going over every platinum trophy I earned throughout the year. In this video, I will go over all 36 platinum trophies I earned, and I will give a brief summary for each game and talk about the most noteworthy trophies for each game. This year includes the 2 hardest platinums I've ever attempted, so please stay tuned to find out which games those are. In addition to that, I'll be giving out some awards to games I think deserve it. I'll also give a shout out to some games that I've played during the year that I really enjoyed but I didn't earn a platinum in. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss another new platinum video. Now without further ado, let's begin. I'm kicking it off the same way last year ended, with the survival horror game. This one is the Dead Space remake, developed by Motive Studio. This remake is pretty underrated. It only got a nomination for the Game Awards in audio design, which is what I think the game was best at, but I think it could have been nominated for other categories. Anyway, in the game you play as Isaac Clarke, a starship engineer that was assigned to the USG Ishimura, which is a mining ship that has lost communication. As you explore the ship, you'll come across necromorphs, creatures made from the bodies of dead humans. The game has a lot of scary moments and jump scares, but it's also very intense. The unique weapons in the game are very interesting to use. If you love survival horror games, this is simply a must play. You can get the platinum in 3 playthroughs. On the first one, focus on finishing the game on whatever difficulty you want and grab every collectible and finish all side missions. On the second, do New Game Plus and use only the plasma cutter and collect all marker fragments for the alternative ending and fully upgrade all your gear. And on the final playthrough, play the game again on impossible difficulty, which disables autosaves, and you cannot die once or the difficulty will revert back to hard. But if you have PlayStation Plus, you can cheese this by uploading a manual save to the cloud and download it after you die. So if you don't have it, it will be much harder. Next is The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, developed by Naughty Dog, not even 4 years after the original. When this was announced, it was mega disliked on YouTube, with comments calling it unnecessary and a cash grab, and on some level, I would agree with them. But it's only a $10 upgrade if you own the original game, which is the default upgrade price from upgrading anything from the PS4 version to PS5. So I don't hate that it exists. It's a really great game, and I didn't mind playing it again. Anyway, in the game, you play as Ellie and a new character, Abby. And let's just say Abby's character is, controversial, to say the least. The game has some of the most fluid combat and stealth systems from anything I've ever played. The story is also great, and holy crap is it nerve-wracking. Enough about that, let's get to the trophies. First, let me start off by saying I did not earn this platinum. What I mean by that is that I copied over my save from the original PS4 version of the game to this version, and all the trophies auto-popped. I did play the entire game after I did this, by the way. For anyone who wants to platinum this game, I'll tell you how to do it. The trophies are very simple to get. All you really have to do is finish the game and follow a collectible guide. Then start New Game Plus to finish upgrading all player upgrades and all weapon upgrades. There's also a few miscellaneous trophies that are easy to obtain. My first ever platinum for a simulation game belongs to PowerWash Simulator, a super satisfying game developed by FutureLab. In this game, you take on jobs for washing off dirt and grime off of various vehicles, buildings, and more. There's not much more to say about it other than that it's just satisfying to play, and you just wash away filth. Now on to the platinum. In order to get it, you must play through the career mode, and for a good chunk of the jobs, there's a certain objective you must do in each of them, like wash certain spots first or wash certain spots last. It's best to play each job and keep an eye on these trophies to see if there's something you must do during that job. You must also buy power washers and their attachment. Then you need to get 5 gold medals in challenge mode and complete a bonus job. The career mode is a little long, but it's not that bad, taking about 30 to 40 hours. This next game is one of my favorite survival games that came out in the last few years, and that game is Pacific Drive, developed by Ironwood Studios. Your character, called the Driver, drives through the zone where mysterious phenomena occur, and there's many different kinds. The game could feel eerie, it can also feel hectic, and it can also feel very calming. This game takes characteristics from roguelike games, where you do runs of the game, and as you complete the story and upgrade your vehicle and learn new skills, you can do longer runs of the game. I wish there was a VR version I could play, because that would seriously be incredible. Now to get the platinum. First, just focus on completing the story, building equipment in the garage, unlocking everything in the fabrication station, and discovering 600 logbook entries. This will take about 20 hours. After that, you must do runs of the game under certain conditions. There's a lot of easily obtainable miscellaneous trophies as well, but those are pretty simple to get. Now, I have an interesting one for you, and it's Bridge Constructor Portal, developed by Clockstone Studios. I've played this game forever ago, on my phone, back when it was released in 2017, and I had so much fun with it. I saw the game on sale on PlayStation Store for like $3, and I just knew I had to play it again. Obviously, this game is part of the Portal franchise, and it's certainly the best bridge construction game I've ever played. It's also the only bridge construction game I've ever played. In all seriousness, it's a pretty simple game. You build bridges to get a vehicle from the start of the level to the end of the level, while utilizing portals to teleport. It's like a puzzle game and engineering game rolled into one. The platinum is pretty straightforward to obtain. All you really have to do is finish every level of the game getting one vehicle across, and finish every level getting a convoy of vehicles across. After that, there's 3 trophies you probably won't get naturally in your playthrough. These trophies are: go back and forth through the same portal 30 times, bounce 25 times on repulsion gel with one vehicle, and go through 5,000 portals total. Next up is the remake of Mafia, developed by Hangar 13. If you've never played a Mafia game, just think of it as Grand Theft Auto, but you're in a mafia from the past. Specifically, this game takes place in the 1930s. You play as Tommy Angelo, a taxi driver struggling through the Great Depression, and joins the Salieri family. Tommy takes part in all sorts of illegal activity, because of the whole mafia thing. I don't have much to comment on about the game other than it's fine. Like, the gunplay feels fine, the driving feels fine, everything is just fine. Not very spectacular, but it's serviceable. The Platinum Trophy is pretty simple for the most part. First, you have to finish the game and grab every collectible in the game. Then you must finish the game again on Classic difficulty, which is the hardest. It's not all that hard, to be honest, except for this one mission where you have to finish first on a 3-lap race against 15 other drivers. And my god, is it difficult. I've seen horror stories where a lot of people's platinum journeys ended right there because of this race. The trick is to get past all the drivers as fast as you possibly can and front run. But the problem is, all these vehicles are fast, and you very slowly catch up at full speed. It takes a lot of trial and error, but I got it done relatively quickly, honestly. I'm a little annoyed about this one. For some reason, my PlayStation didn't feel like automatically saving the clip while I earned the Platinum Trophy. I have no idea why, but oh well. Anyway, Batman Arkham Knight is the last Batman game in the Arkham series, and it was developed by Rocksteady. You play as Bruce Wayne, and the main villain in this one is Scarecrow, although there are several others that make an appearance, like the Joker, Harley Quinn, Penguin, Two-Face, and the Riddler. My favorite part of the game is the combat. It's very fluid, and it just feels so nice to take down 20 different enemies when they surround you. I also like the addition of the Batmobile, even though a lot of other people don't like how they used it in the game, but I don't have a problem with it. Now, onto the trophies. First and foremost, you must complete the main story, as well as all the side quests. You must also finish all AR challenges with 3 stars, and you must also collect all 243 Riddler trophies and activate Nightfall Protocol to get 100% completion. Then you must play the game again on New Game Plus. There's one more trophy I want to highlight here because I think it's the hardest, and it is Brutality 101, where you must do all of these moves in one single fight and you can't get hit once during it. That one took a bit, but I got it eventually. I put these next 3 games in a single entry, mostly because all the trophies are pretty much the same in them. Also, I bet you thought I'd never play anything like this. I played the first Ace Attorney collection because it was on PS Plus and I instantly got hooked. I knew I had to play the other games in the series, so I just went for it. So yeah, all the Ace Attorney games were developed by Capcom and you play as several characters. The main ones are Phoenix Wright, Apollo Justice, Athena Sykes, and Ryunosuke Naruhodo. In the games, you take on the defensive cases taken to court, and it's the most hectic courtroom battles you'll ever see. These are definitely the types of games I don't want to spoil, so I'll just get to the trophies. All you really have to do is finish every episode of each game and find several optional dialogue. And that's about it. They're very simple trophies. I'm not completely done with this series though. There is one more entry in the series that I'll get to later in the video. I platinumed this game once before last year, but it has returned once again. It is Fallout 4, developed by Bethesda Game Studios. This time, it's the PS5 version that was released to celebrate the release of the Fallout TV show, which is a great show, by the way. Bethesda added a performance mode that ran the game at a silky smooth 60 FPS with updated visuals, but in classic Bethesda fashion, the update was released with loads of issues. Most notably for me though, the game had trouble loading textures. Some areas just looked straight up like something that was on the PS1. I didn't know if they fixed any of it or what, but that's all I gotta say about it. The platinum was a little grindy to obtain. I got the platinum in its entirety on stream, and it took about 32 hours total. Here's what you need to do to get it. You need to finish the story with different factions, get to level 50, collect 20 bobbleheads scattered around the map, and do some miscellaneous tasks. Dave the Diver is a very chill game developed by Mint Rocket. It's a management game, it's a fishing game, it's an exploration game, and it's a farming game. It has a lot going for it. Not to mention, it has a nice story too. In the game, you take control of Dave, a diver that starts up a sushi restaurant. And Dave's job is to catch many different kinds of fish and make them into nice dishes and serve them for profit. There's a lot of mystery in the Blue Hole, which is like a sinkhole type location that runs deep underground. I don't want to spoil much more than that, so I'll move on. The platinum trophy is a little grindy to obtain, but if you have patience, it's not that bad. You gotta finish the story, take a picture of all the murals, collect all blueprints, expand the rice and vegetable farms to the max, defeat all bosses, raise 5 fish in this Tamagotchi-like minigame, and get diamond rank in the Cooksta app. There's more trophies I could go over, but those were just some examples of the main ones you'll go for. Now this next game took years off of my life. It is easily the hardest platinum I've ever gotten up to this point. The game is Trackmania Turbo, developed by Ubisoft Naudio. This game has a reputation of being one of the hardest platinum trophies ever, and for good reason. It's very challenging, and one little slip up on any track will prevent you from getting the gold medals you need. The game features over 200 tracks, and it's very fast paced, with a huge focus on stunts. It also features a track editor where you can build your own tracks. There's multiplayer as well, but it's mostly dead at this point. Now I'll tell you what you have to suffer through to get the platinum. While the game is hard as hell, the platinum is about as straightforward as you can make it. You need to do two main things. You need to obtain a gold trophy in every level in the campaign, and you need to obtain 50 Trackmaster medals. Just think of those as a time you need to beat that's faster than gold, or just think of it as like a platinum medal or something like that. If you ever decide to go for this platinum, you need to be patient and accept it will take you many tries to get the gold medal you need. Sometimes it may even take hours to get a gold on a single track. This is a game I really should have platinumed 3 years ago. I'll tell you why in a sec. So, this game is Resident Evil Village, developed by Capcom. You play as Ethan Winters, the same protagonist from Resident Evil 7, and it also features the same first-person camera. Ethan's goal in this game is simple: rescue his kidnapped daughter. Capcom went more with an action-focused game this time around than a horror focus, although there are at least some scary areas in the game. This game also features some really unique villains too. So just like all the other Resident Evil games recently, this one requires at least 3 playthroughs. Here's what you need to do for each. On the first playthrough, play on easy or normal, whichever you want, and grab every collectible in the game. On the second, unlock the Karambit knife from the extra content shop and start the game on easy. Play through the game using only the knife in less than 3 hours, use less than 4 healing items, and spend less than 10,000 of the in-game currency at the merchant. On the final playthrough, play on the Village of Shadows difficulty, which is the hardest, and finish the game. After that, you need to play the Mercenaries mode and get S rank on 8 different stages. This is the one trophy I didn't get when I first played this game 3 years ago, because I just didn't enjoy Mercenaries mode. But eventually, I went back and finished it. Jumping from one Resident Evil game and into another, this one is the remake of Resident Evil 3 developed by Capcom. In this game, you play as Jill Valentine, a protagonist from the first game, and Carlos Oliveira, a mercenary. The game didn't review very well, mostly because of the lack of depth and cut content. In my opinion though, if you're a relatively new Resident Evil player and you never played the original game, you'll probably like this game just fine. But if you're an old fan, you'll most likely think the same thing these reviewers thought. It's still a good game though, no matter where you fall on that spectrum. So, the minimum amount of playthroughs you can do to get the platinum is 3, but 4 is more recommended. On the first playthrough, play on assisted difficulty and grab every collectible in the game. After that, you're recommended to farm points to buy the infinite rocket launcher, 2 hit pouches, 2 recovery coins, and 2 defense coins. You earn points by killing a certain number of enemies with different weapons, and you can easily farm all this by replaying certain areas of the story. Now, after you buy all that, do your second playthrough on hardcore difficulty and use a max of 1 health item. But it's easy because the infinite rocket launcher kills everything in 1 hit. On your third playthrough, finish the game on Nightmare difficulty. On your fourth playthrough, play on Inferno difficulty and speedrun it in less than 2 hours. You may need to do a fifth playthrough to get this trophy for not using the item box, but you can play on assisted difficulty with the infinite rocket launcher to speed it up. This may seem like a lot to do, but you can platinum this game in around 25 hours. The second incredibly hard platinum trophy of the year belongs to Crash Bandicoot 4, developed by Toys for Bob. In my opinion, it was a little harder than Trackmania Turbo, but not by much. In this game, you play as Crash Bandicoot, or his sister Coco. There's also some levels where you can play as Neo Cortex, Tawna Bandicoot, and Tingodile. This game is just a blast, and we need more platformers in this day and age. There's a lot that goes into getting this platinum trophy. First and foremost, finish the story and grab the 4 hidden colored gems and get all the miscellaneous trophies for certain levels. Next, play through all the inverted levels, which are just normal levels except they're mirrored and have some sort of graphics rendering. Then grab all flashback tapes. There's 21 levels that have one, and basically you need to play through some of each level without dying to reach each tape. After you have every tape, play all the flashback levels, and finish each one while breaking every crate without dying. Now this is where the hard part comes in. You need to obtain all insanely perfect relics. To do that, you must obtain at least 80% of all fruit, destroy every crate, and don't die on 38 levels. And it must be done all at once on each level. After that, you need to obtain the Platinum Time Trial relics. Basically, just beat 38 levels in a certain amount of time, but these are very difficult. You have to utilize triple spinning and slide attacks throughout the entire level to even beat the time. It's the most amount of button mashing you'll ever do for any platinum. I'm not kidding. After that, finish getting all the gems in the inverted levels and unlock the 106% completion ending. Then finally, the platinum is yours. Next up is Sniper Elite 5, developed by Rebellion Developments. I'm surprised there's so many of these games, and the series is still going, but hey, I'm not complaining. Anyways, in this game, you take control of Carl Fairbairn, an elite sniper that goes on infiltration missions to take down targets, blow things up, and other fun stuff. It all takes place during World War II. The series is well known for the X-ray kill cam, and it's always so satisfying to use. Now onto the platinum. You can do only one playthrough, but I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend 2. On the first playthrough, play on whatever difficulty you want and focus on grabbing all collectibles and doing all optional objectives and kill challenges. After that, I focused on the weapon mastery medals, which is just getting a certain amount of kills with every weapon, and it can easily be farmed. On the next playthrough, play on authentic difficulty, which is a little difficult, but not as hard as you may expect. After that, there's some multiplayer trophies to get. I normally don't go for platinums in single player games that have multiplayer trophies, but I made an exception this time. Then, you have to beat 3 different survival mode maps, and finally, do some mop-up on the miscellaneous trophies. Next up is from a series I've platinumed previous games on. It is Life is Strange True Colors, developed by Deck 9. This is the first time they made a game in the main series. In this game, you play as Alex Chen, a girl who has empathetic powers. She can read the emotions of everyone around her and even manipulate them, creepily enough. The game takes place in a fictional town called Haven Springs, Colorado, and there's a mystery going on here Alex has to solve. If you've played Life is Strange before, it's pretty much more of the same when it comes to gameplay, and the Platinum Trophy is no different. All you have to do is finish the game and grab every collectible in the game called Memories. Each one has a little story or a background that plays when you grab it, and that's it. So now the next game on this list is my first VR game of the year. Even though I have a PSVR 2, I mostly only play Beat Saber with it. But sometimes there are games that come out that pique my interest, and Synapse is one of those games. Synapse is a roguelike first-person shooter developed by Endreams. In the game, you take control of a special agent that must infiltrate the mind of a rogue colonel named Peter Conrad, who is voiced by David Hayter, the voice actor who plays Snake in Metal Gear Solid. You get to hear his beautiful voice all the time in the game, and I love it. The gameplay is pretty fun. It works like most roguelikes. You get upgrades as you progress, and the enemies get more difficult. Using the different weapons are satisfying, but the most satisfying thing to use is your telekinetic abilities. You can throw enemies around, throw objects around, and catch a grenade in mid-air and toss it back at enemies. It just makes you feel so powerful, and I'm for it. The platinum is pretty easy for a VR game. There's two main things you have to do. The first is finishing the game, and that's almost impossible to do on your first try because you don't have enough skills unlocked. The second are completing revelations, which are in-game challenges, and completing those give you points you can spend on the skill tree, making it easier each run you do. Most of the revelations have their own trophy that unlocks when you do it, but luckily, some of the hardest revelations don't have a trophy, so you don't have to do some of them. Now for the best game of all time, Cat Quest. Well, not really, but it's still a really good indie game. Cat Quest is an action RPG developed by the Gentle Bros. You take control of, you guessed it, a cat. The world is very interesting in this game. It feels like the entire game takes place on a map. It's very unique. The gameplay is very fun, and it's got a lot more depth than you might think. It's got everything you want in a small RPG. Dungeons, abilities, enemy variety, and hell of a lot of cat puns. It's a short game. It only takes about 10 to 12 hours to platinum the game. And speaking of the platinum, here's the 7 things you need to do to get it. You need to finish the story, level up to 99, clear all dungeons, complete all side quests, obtain all skills, obtain all weapons and armor, and locate all monuments. It may sound like a lot. The map is very small, so it's pretty packed into it. I don't really want to talk about this next one, but I forced myself to platinum this one, so I kinda have to. This next game is Immortals Fenyx Rising, developed by Ubisoft Quebec, but it really should be called Annoying Puzzles the Game. I've seen this game have comparisons to The Legend of Zelda, but the thing is, this game really sucks, for lack of a better word. You can tell this game really tries its hardest to be like Breath of the Wild, except they multiplied the amount of puzzles times 10, and the combat is so boring. It's repetitive, and the enemies are just sponges. It's just not fun. The only thing I actually like about the game is the art style. Well, that's enough hating on this game. Now I'll explain how I got the platinum. You'll spend most of your time going for collectibles, upgrading your skills and equipment, and of course, you must also finish the game. The whole thing just feels very grindy. It takes about 50 hours to get the platinum. Some people really like games like this, and that's fine, but I'm definitely not one of them. after finishing Immortals Fenyx Rising, I wanted to play something I would actually enjoy. So I went back to Cat Quest and played the second game. This game is a lot like the first, which is a good thing. But in this game, there's two playable characters, a cat and a dog. You can play this game with a friend in co-op, but you can also play it solo, which is what I did. The gameplay is generally the same as the previous game, and it's just as fun. There's not much else to say about it. The Platinum is also just like the previous game, and pretty much requires the same thing. You need to finish the story, level up to 99, complete all dungeons, complete all side quests, obtain all skills, and obtain all weapons and armor. It also takes about the same amount of time to Platinum. The Pathless is an action-adventure game developed by Giant Squid and published by my favorite publisher, Annapurna Interactive. In the game, you play as a character called the Hunter. In the game, your objective is to end a curse on an island. I won't mention more about the story. The gameplay is very fluid. You use a bow to shoot these targets and it gives you a speed boost. This is how you get around in the game. There's not much for combat. The only combat you do is during boss fights, and all you have to do is shoot the targets on them. For a majority of the game, you will be exploring and solving puzzles. It's a nice little indie game. I recommend it, especially if you enjoy puzzle games. The Platinum Trophy is pretty easy. You have to finish the game, grab every collectible, do some miscellaneous objectives, and get the extended ending, which is just finishing the game again after you get all the collectibles. Next up is former Game of the Year winner It Takes Two, developed by Hazelight Studios. It's a co-op platformer game with a nice little story about a married couple planning for divorce. But things sort of happened, and now all of a sudden they become dolls and are tasked with fixing their relationship for their daughter's sake. Co-op games have become a dying breed, and I'm very glad this game exists. It's full of fun, it's got a lot of fun levels, fun abilities, and there's 25 different minigames scattered around the whole game. If you've got a friend to play with, play this game immediately. You won't regret it. Now, on to the Platinum Trophy. It's super simple. First, you just need to finish the game. Second, there are 18 trophies where you need to do something in different areas of the game. And finally, find all 25 minigames. Just make sure when you play with a friend that has a PlayStation profile, make sure you both go for all the trophies, because sometimes if only one of you does something, it will only count for that person. Also, big shout out to my brother Kyle for being player number 2 for this game. This next one is an interesting one. It's called Call of the Sea, developed by Out of the Blue. You play as Nora Everhart, a woman in the 1930s that sets out on a journey to find her husband, who has gone missing while on an expedition. That's all I'll tell you about the plot. It's mainly a puzzle game with adventure elements. It may look like a simple game, but there's a lot of weird things going on in the story. A lot took me by surprise. The game has a unique art style. Kind of reminds me of The Witness, which is also a puzzle game. The plot is simple enough. You need to finish the game, grab every collectible, find all secret objects, and complete chapter-specific trophies. You can do it all in about 5 or 6 hours, so you can get it in a day. Tales of Kenzera Zao is the debut game from Surgent Studios. They have mainly made films, but branched out to games. It's a Metroidvania type game. If you don't know what they are, they usually can be described as non-linear platform games with one large interconnected map that you can explore, but lots of different areas cannot be accessed until you get new tools, abilities, anything like that. So in this game, you play as Zhao, a shaman that goes on a quest to capture the spirits of 3 monsters in exchange for his father's resurrection. The combat is pretty enjoyable. Zhao has 2 masks that he can switch between anytime. Wearing one of them gives you the ability to do damage up close, and wearing the other gives you the ability to do damage from afar. It's like you're switching between 2 different combat systems, and it's pretty unique, I think. Enough about the game. To get the platinum, you must complete the story, grab every collectible, and unlock every skill and ability. There's also some combat trophies that you can do during your playthrough, like killing 4 enemies with your Supernova and Lunar Blast ability, and do a perfect recharge 10 times, which is just your ability to reload faster. One and only game as part of the Classics catalog on PlayStation Plus, Hot Shots Golf is an old-school golf game developed by Camelot Software Planning and released back in 1997 in Japan and 1998 in North America and Europe. I've always enjoyed golf games. I was always a fan of the Tiger Woods PGA Tour games back in the 2000s, and I would always rent them when I had the original Xbox, but the only one I ever owned was PGA Tour 2007 on the PS3, and it was a lot of fun. Anyways, this game is not like that. This just has the feeling of more of an arcade-type golf game, and what I mean by that is that the controls are very simple and the physics feel very bare bones. It just feels like an old golf game. I got the platinum for this trophy in one day, but here's what you need to do to get it. You need to unlock every character by defeating them, unlock these 4 golf courses, get a birdie, eagle, albatross, and a hole-in-one, and finally, sink a hole-in-one on the mini-golf mode. Jumping from one golf game and into another, this time it's PGA Tour 2K23, developed by HB Studios. This one is a little more reminiscent of the Tiger Woods games. There's an in-depth career mode that's fun to play, there's multiplayer, and there's loads of custom courses and a course creator where you can make your own courses. It's mostly everything you want in a golf game. This one will take a bit longer to get the platinum. You need to win several championships in career mode, but you can do it on the easiest difficulty, which is incredibly easy. Then you need to do some cleanup in career mode for other trophies, but these are pretty easy. You also need to play and finish a round in online matchmaking playing as a pro, and play a match as Tiger Woods and score a par or better in an 18-hole round. The most annoying trophy was this one, where you need to have 3 legendary fittings on one club. You need to trade 3 fittings for a higher rarity one, so you basically need a shit ton of them so you can keep upgrading them, and it may take some extra time to get enough, but it wasn't too bad. Bethesda Game Studios reappears once again on this list, and this time it's the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Everyone knows what Skyrim is, but for some reason you don't. It's a fantasy action role-playing game. You play as the Dragonborn, someone with the ability to absorb the souls of dragons. This game is considered one of the greatest of all time, and for good reason. It's very diverse when it comes to environment and combat. The best part about the game, in my opinion, is the freedom. You don't have to do the main story right away. You can join factions or do side quests or just start clearing all dungeons. You can do it all in any order you want. Just, if you haven't played it before, please do. It's an addictive game. The platinum for this game will take a lot of hours to complete, but the good news is it's not that hard. I'll go over the main trophies you'll go for. You need to complete the main story, complete all the faction quests, complete 10 side quests, and 50 miscellaneous objectives. You also need to pick 50 pockets and 50 locks, have 100,000 gold at once, get a skill to level 100, level up your character to level 50, and some others. It's a lot, but like I said, it's not hard to do. It just takes time. Next up is Game of the Year winner Astro Bot, developed by Team Asobi. Astro Bot is a 3D platformer, very reminiscent of the 3D Mario games, especially Super Mario Galaxy on the Wii. The game is a celebration of 30 years of PlayStation, and it's very nostalgic, because of the 300 plus VIP bots you can rescue in the game. They all came from games that are associated with PlayStation. The game is a pretty simple platformer, but the game has a lot of small parts that work really well. For example, the game makes use of the DualSense controller very well. It uses adaptive triggers, motion detection, haptics, and even the microphone. The visuals are stunning. All the abilities are fun and unique. You kinda just need to play this game for yourself to understand how incredible it is. To get the platinum, you need to 100% the game. This includes rescuing all bots, gathering all puzzle pieces, buying 150 gacha items, and of course, finishing the game. There's also loads of random miscellaneous trophies, but doing all of them can easily take less than an hour. It's a short platinum, and if you own a PS5, you simply need to play it. Final sports title on this list, MLB The Show 24, developed by San Diego Studio, is a baseball game. Out of all the sports games available, MLB The Show is the one I come back to and play the most. Fun fact, it's also my most played game this year. I mostly play the Road to the Show mode, which is basically the career mode, and I find it very fun. But there's also several other modes, like Diamond Dynasty, which is the main online mode where you collect baseball cards of players and use them in games against others online. And of course, there's Franchise mode, where you take control of a franchise and manage player development, coaching, scouting, and trades to lead your team to the World Series. There's also a couple more modes, but those were the main ones. The Platinum is full of random things you gotta do, so I'll just go over the noteworthy ones. You need to play and finish 24 games of at least 3 innings, win a game on a walk-off home run, using one pitcher pitch a complete game with less than 100 pitches, win a game by 24 more runs, and the rarest trophy, with the bases loaded and nobody out, strike out 3 in a row without a run scoring to end the inning. Once again, I jumped back into Ace Attorney and played the last of the games I haven't played yet, and this one is the Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, developed by Capcom. It consists of 2 games that were released on the Nintendo DS, and one of those games was never released outside of Japan. You play as Miles Edgeworth, a prosecutor investigating crime scenes. It's basically Ace Attorney, but with a new perspective. Instead of a visual novel, you can actually control your character and move around to investigate. Everything else in this game is quite similar. When you're not investigating, you're arguing with witnesses and finding contradictions in other characters' statements. It's pretty much the same thing as the trials from every other Ace Attorney game. This Platinum is similar to the other games. All you really need to do is complete every episode and find several optional dialogue options. Plucky Squire, developed by All Possible Futures, is a platformer that has a unique mechanic of switching between 2D and 3D. You play as Jot, a hero that was kicked out of the storybook his adventures take place in. Jot finds himself with the ability to be able to jump between 2D platforming sections and 3D exploration in the real world. There's puzzles you can solve that take advantage of this mechanic. The game has a charming art style, especially in the 2D sections. It looks just like a kid's storybook. The combat is pretty simple. Jot mainly uses a sword, but there's a couple of abilities you can unlock that give Jot the ability to throw the sword and it will return to you, and there's a jump attack and spin attack. Moving to the platinum now. This game has a lot of bugs, and I'm not sure if it's ever been fixed yet. The bugs pretty much only take place in chapter select, so it's best if you do everything in a single playthrough. You need to 100% the game, which includes finishing the game, rescuing all glitch birds, and finding all art scrolls. Just follow a trophy guide while you play, and it's a very easy platinum to obtain. Heading back to the survival horror genre with this one. Silent Hill 2, developed by Blooper Team, is the remake of the 2001 game of the same name. You play as James Sunderland, a man drawn to the town of Silent Hill with the possibility of seeing his dead wife. The town is dangerous. There's terrifying inhuman creatures, and of course, there's the monster Pyramid Head. He likes to pop up in certain parts of the story. James starts off with a wooden plank as the only weapon, but there's other weapons you can find during the story, like a steel pipe, handgun, shotgun, hunting rifle, and a chainsaw, which is only available in New Game Plus. While combat is one major part of the game, the other main part is all the different puzzles in the game. And to be honest, it was my least favorite part about it. Some of the puzzles require a lot more thinking than most horror games. I did 3 playthroughs to get the platinum, but you can do it in 2. Here's what you need to do for each. On the first playthrough, focus on gathering all collectibles and get all 3 endings. You can make a manual save close to the end of the game and reload it after you get each ending. On the second playthrough, start New Game Plus and turn off your radio, which alerts you when enemies are nearby, and use only the chainsaw for the whole game. Also, get the rest of the endings using the manual save trick from earlier. After all that, the platinum is yours. Life is Strange Double Exposure, developed by Deck 9, is the second Life is Strange game on this list. We play as returning protagonist Max Caulfield, working as a photographer in residence at Caledon University in the state of Vermont. The premise of this game is that Max's best friend Safi gets murdered, and most of the game is figuring out who done did it. But there's a twist on this murder mystery. Max can jump between 2 timelines anytime during the game, one in which Safi is alive and the other in which Safi is dead, and Max has to use this ability to figure out this mystery. Just like previous Life is Strange games, there's lots of impactful choices that you must make. There's really not much else to mention about this game, so I'll get to the trophies. You basically have to follow a trophy guide to grab every collectible in the game. There's also miscellaneous trophies that you can get easily using a chapter select. Now here's the annoying part. You have to finish the game twice. Early on in the game, you have to choose which ending you got in the original Life is Strange game and play from there. But the dumb part is that you have to play the whole game again, choosing the other ending, and there's really not much different about the playthrough. So it just feels like they're making you play the game again for no reason. Well, that's enough complaining from me. It's time to move on to the final game of the year. The last game on this list is the remastered version of Horizon Zero Dawn, developed by Guerrilla Games and originally released back in 2017. This is another game, just like The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, that people said was unnecessary to remaster. The game still looked great, despite being 7 years old. People are acting like 7 years is too soon for a remaster, but hey, at least it's better than the 4 years that we got with The Last of Us. The game was a $10 upgrade for existing owners of the original, so I'm not going to complain at all. It's definitely worth that price. So anyways, you play as Aloy in the 31st century in a world dominated by machines. Aloy must unravel the mystery of what happened to the old ones, which is just what they call humans from the past, and why the world has seemingly reverted back to the Stone Age. So, the platinum is exactly the same as the old version. You need to finish the game, clear the map by climbing tall necks, reach level 50, destroy every machine type, learn all skills, clear all bandit camps, clear all hunting grounds, clear all cauldrons, and grab every collectible. It sounds like a lot, but just have a little bit of patience and it'll come easy. I have some games I want to mention that I played this year that I really enjoyed but didn't earn a platinum in. First off, I want to talk about Spike Chunsoft. I played several of their games, including the 3 main Danganronpa games, the AI The Somnium Files games, and Raincode. All of these are basically murder mystery games, and I just binged all these games for like a month. If you like mysteries, play their games, they are incredible. I also want to talk about Elden Ring. I played the entire game again earlier in the year, right before Shadow of the Erd Tree came out. I then played the entire DLC, and it really kicked my ass. It was great, but man, I was just dead on the inside when I finally defeated Radahn. Oh, and if you want to see my final battle with him, there's a link in the description where you can watch the whole thing if you care at all. Last but not least, big shout out to Balatro for keeping me entertained for the whole month of December. I don't know if I'll go for the platinum for that game. I have about 50 hours played right now and I'm not even close to the trophy. It's addicting, so maybe someday. So, that's it for honorable mentions, and now it's time for... I have 5 awards to give today. These are Best Platinum for New Hunters, Underrated Platinum, Hardest Platinum, Worst Platinum, and Best Platinum. This will only take a few minutes. I've already kept you here for like 53 minutes or so, and that's plenty. So here we go. For any new trophy hunters out there that want good games to start out with, you can't go wrong with Cat Quest. They're pretty short in length, and you have to 100% the game to get the platinum. And that's a good thing, because you can't just finish the game and call it a day. A lot of people suggest games by Telltale Games, but in my opinion, they're just too easy to platinum. All you have to do is finish the game to get it. I recommend something they have to work for, but is also short, and Cat Quest is a perfect example of that. Someday, I'll probably play Cat Quest 3. More people should play this game. I think it's one of the best survival games that came out recently, and I had lots of fun playing it. None of the trophies are very hard, and it's just a chill game. I especially like being able to replace and upgrade every aspect of your vehicle in the garage. If there's any car enthusiasts out there, you'll like it too. When making this video, I was going back and forth in my head whether to give this award to Crash Bandicoot 4 or Trackmania Turbo, but I'm sticking with what I said earlier in the video and I'll just give it to Crash Bandicoot, mainly because it made me more mad. It was obvious where this award was going. Ubisoft, your games need to stop being such a grind fest. I'm normally okay with most of your games, but when your grind fest is just puzzles, and a lot of them just feel like they're copy and pasted, I will not have fun going for it. It's the best platformer that came out in the last 7 years. What more is there to say? It's pure fun, it's nostalgic, it's a blast. Play it, play it, play it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please check out this video right here where I go over every platinum trophy I earned in 2023.